The energy of brain in the hollow of the body. Words would always be less in expressing the importance of health in human life. Healthy mind lies in a healthy body is an enthusing statement reflecting the importance of health of physical body. However, this does not represent the ultimate truth. Mind cannot manifest its faculties so easily without the tool of the body, but it can very well maintain its unique potentials even in a weak, injured, or handicapped body. That the mental powers could be awakened and made more sharp and creative even in an unhealthy body has been demonstrated by plenty of live examples in human history. The lives of the rishis like Chavan and Valmiki are examples of the above kind available in the ancient history of India. The bodies of these rishis had become almost like skeletons because of practicing strict penance. Their souls, however, existed in spiritually sublimated states with the full expression of life even in those hollow bodies. The yogis in the state of deep trance also remain lively despite stopping the physical activities of the heart, brain and other organs of a desired period of time. After completion of the trance, they bring back the body to a normal state. The above examples pertain to spiritual experiments only. However, similar amazing phenomena are seen in the ordinary worldly lives too. Mr. Hanawa Hokeshi of Japan was renowned in the 18th century as an incarnation of the deity of knowledge. He was born in 1712 and had lost his eyesight at the early age of 7 years. Despite being blind, he continued to acquire knowledge by listening. This way, he had read over 40,000 books in his 101 years long life. So amazing was the grasping power of his brain that many of the books were thoroughly stored in his memory by way of listening to their text just once. The depth and grandeur of his knowledge was a matter of surprise for the scholars of the time. Many times he used to quote such references of knowledge that were beyond the level of imagination of the servants who were discussing with him. On the request of his friends, he had also written a treatise on tre- treatise which was compiled in 2820 volumes and which still exists as a monument of the unlimited potentials of the human intellect. Dr. Stephen Hawking's life is a shining example of this kind in the present time. This great mathematician, physicist, come astrophysicist, despite being totally handicapped physically, has made remarkable contributions in unraveling the secrets of the cosmos. This distinguished professor at the Cambridge University, UK, has derived certain scientific principles which have given rise to striking changes and rethinking on the existing theories of the origin and expansion of the universe and the existence of black holes. This eminent scientist, now in his 50s, was diagnosed as suffering from ALS, a motor neuron disease, about 3 decades ago when he was a doctoral student. However, charmed by his intellect and moved by the aim of supporting him with love and care, a young British girl married him at that time. The couple was also blessed of 3 children. Dr. Hawkins' body had gradually paralyzed due to the deadly disease in the later years. His health continued to worsen gradually and he eventually lost his voice. His hands also paralyzed like his legs and further disabled his body. In spite of this tragedy, his mind remains engaged in rigorous research. Advanced technological instruments including auto-controlled wheelchair, computer-aided voice synthesizer and brain signal decoder had made it possible for others to comprehend his lectures and discuss and collaborate with him. Dr. Hawkins' book A Brief History of Time has been a bestseller and is recognized as the most lucid writing on the most difficult scientific topic. He is regarded as the second Einstein of this century. The contributions of the supernatural mental functioning of his physically diseased brain is a disabled body make us rethink on the universality of the statement of a healthy mind in a healthy body. His life is the most convincing evidence of the fact that the potentials of human brain blossom beyond the barriers of physical fitness. They can be elevated and used in fully capacity by a human being so long as his soul exists in the body, however weak or hollow the latter may be. Dr. Wilder Penfield, a celebrity neurosurgeon of America, has recorded amazing results during the study of nerves and neuronal processing. Once, when he electrically charged a portion of the brain of an 8-year-old girl undergoing a neurological treatment, she began to describe an incident without a pause. It appeared as if a gramophone record player is switched on inside her mouth. She narrated, I was playing with my brother. They were hiding in a farm to frighten and irritate me. I lost track of them. Then I saw a man whose clothes were clumsy. He took out a snake from his bag and showed it to me. I ran away with fear and reached home in a gasping state. Dr. Penfield was surprised at this flow of her thoughts, imagination, and to note that such a young child was describing an incident in so much detail. The girl's mother revealed that the above incident had occurred when this girl was only 2.5 years old, as the doctor was sure that no child at that small age could ever remember a past incident. He conjectured that there must be a system in human brain which is matured, skilled and thoughtful since the time of birth. Although he could not find an answer in spite of this consideration, the involved idea motivated him towards dedicated experimental research on human brain. As the research in the faculties of neuroscience has advanced, the human brain is being found to be more and more mysterious. Deeper elucidation are coming closer to providing the existence of the Sahasra Kamal or Sahasrara in the core of a human brain as described in the ancient Indian philosophy and science of spirituality. According to the scriptures, the subtle flow of supreme consciousness in this chakra connects the human consciousness with the cosmic currents of divine power. This latent center in the human brain is also considered to contain the divine potentials and complex knowledge of the past, present, and future of one's life. The Indian rishis had realized the existence of the Sahasrara Kamal along with the Satta Chakra and the Brahmarandra in the human brain. The Sahasrara is described to be superior to all the other extrasensory centers, chakras of the subtle energy of prana. It is described to exist in the reticular activating system in the brain. The physical activity center transducer of this chakra is described to be subtly located in the hollow portion about 2 inches away from the temples and about 2 to 3 inches deep behind the Bhrumadhya midpoint between the eyebrows. Upon successful completion of the associated sadhana, it is realized as a unique glow of light. According to spiritual masters of yoga, the shape of this fulgent spot appears like that of an inverted umbrella or a bowl, and it consists of 17 principal types of elements, particles of light. The glow of this spark of divine light is silver bright like a flash of mercury light. The Chandogya Upanishad describes the state of realization of the Sahasrara. Tasya Sarvesu Lokesu Kasmasaran Bhavati, meaning the yogi who has seen the Sahasrara can attain the knowledge of all the sciences. The Sahasrara is also the center of the regulatory power of the brain, from where the latter controls the activities of the body. It is the source that inspires and governs human intellect, which is at the root of the enormous creations and accomplishments of the humans in this world. If we sharpen the knowledge acquiring unit of the brain up to the brightest level, then we can recall at will whatever we had ever heard, seen, read, thought, or experienced. Moreover, we can also see or know everything that is read, heard, thought, seen, or experienced by others around us so clearly as if a reel of film is being projected in front of our eyes. The memory registers of the brain store the visual perceptions like those on a reel at a speed of about 1 scene per second. More surprisingly, this majestic box inside the skull also contains preprints of the scenes which a person is going to see in future. This astonishing capability of the human brain, if used completely, can enable one to become omniscient. Each one of us can attempt to realize and rouse the powers of brain and benefit accordingly. Many of the supernatural potentials of the human brain described in the yoga scriptures are now found to be matching with the accidentally recorded or experimentally elucidated results in the modern scientific laboratories. The above described experiment of Dr. Penfield is an elementary illustration of such findings. In case of this particular example, one might argue that the peculiar incident must have created such an impact on the child's mind that it got assimilated in her memory with a high intensity and thus became ever memorable to her. However, there are many other examples, including those of awakened memories of the previous births, which demonstrate the existence of the layers of latent memory with the immense storage capacity of human brain, which contain the memories of the previous lives and the inherent tendencies of one's mind. Some authentic incidents of this kind are cited below. A somewhat similar effect as the one described earlier was observed in case of an American boy when external electrical current was flown through a nerve. The boy began humming a song in a language which was foreign to him. The tune of the song and the perfection of the boy's singing made it quite soothing. The song was instantaneously recorded in the lab. Later on, linguists recognized the language of the song as a dialect which was spoken in some parts of West Germany long time ago. Surprisingly, nobody in the boy's family, neither maternal nor paternal relatives, had ever had any connection with the region of Germany. None among his acquaintances or friends had ever heard that language. After a detailed study of the event, it was concluded that the boy must have heard or learned that song in a previous life, whose memories were assimilated in his brain's otherwise dormant portion, which got activated due to the electric charge. In a neurosurgical operation, Dr. Penfield had observed that a particular nerve of a patient used to be stimulated during the epileptic attack. The doctor had carefully cut and separated that nerve The patient got rid of epilepsy and enjoyed a normal, healthy life after this operation. Commenting on this case, the doctor stated that there are many thousand millions of protein molecules present in the brain matter. About 2000 millions of these have an average age of 70 years approximately. During the lifetime active state of these proteins, whatever a person perceives or experiences in the conscious state of the mind gets stored in neuronal registers of the brain. The individual and collective storage capacity of the million billion neurons of the brain is infinite because of the dynamic connectivity of the between them. If there were sensitive instruments to measure and project the millisecond to millisecond activities of this majestic network, then it would have become possible for the scientist to unravel the complete history of one's present and previous lives. It would then have been possible to see in what kinds of yonis, forms of life an individual soul had appeared, and what were its sinful papa actions and what were its morally ecstatic, serene, altruistic deeds, punya, in the past or the present life. The Sahasrara is like a crystal through which one can get a glimpse of the journey of the soul and retrieve details and knowledge about the past and the present life. This is the reason why the scriptures of Hindu religion call the Sahasrara as Sutratma, the eternal linkage of the soul. History has witnessed rare incidents of supernatural memory, depth of knowledge, and exceptional talents of humans since the time of yore. Many of these live examples also highlight the eternal connection of the soul with the conscious, unconscious, and superconscious faculties of the mind. Observance of extraordinary potentials of foresightedness, clairvoyance, telepathy, and other kinds of supernatural perceptions also gives evidential support to this aspect. Many such cases observed in the past few centuries have been recorded and compiled with authentic reports in some Western countries. In his book New Frontiers of Mind, Mr. J.V. Ryan has cited many examples of clairvoyance which were analyzed and tested by the neuroscientists and psychologists. Over 50% of the reported cases were proved to be true. 100% of the cases pertaining to supernatural vision during dreams or in a trance-like state of mind were found to be true. One such case reported by Mr. Ryan is described below. Mr. Ryan's neighbor's wife had once dreamed that her brother, who lived in a distant village, is going to his granary in a horse cart. There he opened his cart and all of a sudden climbed up the scaffold and committed suicide by shooting himself by a revolver. He had then fallen on a heap of chaff nearby. The lady was so frightened by this dream that she got up and asked her husband to immediately start for her brother's village. Her husband went to Mr. Raine's father to borrow his horse cart. The couple reached the village next day early morning. The lady was shocked to find her brother's dead body lying in his granary in exactly the same position as she had seen in the dream. Another incident of similar kind was published in the above book. This was reported to Mr. Ryan by one of his friends who was a professor. This had happened when the professor's wife was playing a game of bridge in a friend's house. She suddenly felt as if her daughter, whom she had left at home, is in the same serious trouble. She wanted to inquire about her little daughter over telephone but had to continue playing cards on her friend's request. But after a while she felt so uneasy and mentally disturbed that she left the game and rushed to the phone. A maid servant received the phone when the lady asked about her daughter's well-being. The servant paused for a while and replied, "She is all right," as her friend insisted to complete the game. She then played for some more time and reached home in the evening. There, she learned that her daughter had had a narrow escape from the serious injuries in a car accident. When the girl daughter was going in a car with her father, professor, she was on the back seat, peeping through open window. She lost her balance and was kicked out due to sudden jerk. Somehow she got hold of a window's glass and was almost hanging outside the speeding car. She was so scared that she could not even scream. Before her father could realize the mishappening, the traffic police noticed her and stopped the car within a few minutes. Had there been slight delay, the girl would have slipped down and got crushed in the running traffic. The tragic moment of this incident were exactly those when her mother felt uneasy and panicked about her. The daughter had reached the home safely by the time her mother had found there. As the child was all right, the maid servant did not tell anything over phone about the incident. The above-mentioned professor has also reported in Raine's book about his receiving subtle signals from the cosmos when he was a graduate student living atop of hill of Pennsylvania. Such experiences cited in the book reflect the potentials of the subconscious and the unconscious mind. In the state of dream, all the activities of our body are internalized under the control of the ever-acting unconscious mind. The truth of the event seen in a dream or experienced subconsciously signifies the linkage of brain-mind with the eternal consciousness of the soul, which is inspired by the omnipresent supreme consciousness and is beyond the reach of any sentience. The supernatural experiences associated with the different faculties of mind indicate the existence of a supreme source which is absolute and which can never be bound within the limits of time and space. Einstein had accepted the existence of absolute power of subconsciousness. He had even attempted proving its eternity through his theory of relativity. Modern science has not yet been able to elucidate and analyze the activities of the unconscious mind in human brain. As the research in this direction advances in collaboration with that in the fields of subtle sciences, the role of Sahasrara would become clear and recognized as the source of the eternal expression of the soul. Scientific experiments on rats and monkeys have helped understanding the neurophysiology of their motor control. In human beings, the complexities are so high, even at the level of simple physiological activities, that much of these auto-regulatory mechanisms of the brain still remain the topics of research. Its automatic control of the sensory perception is more complicated. The brain experiences the injuries of a leg or any other organ. The eyes weep, but the sorrow is felt by the brain mind. The body moves, but it is the brain which worries about the hindrances along the path. The hands use the tools, but it is the brain which enables them to do so. Whatever one thinks, does, believes, and feels is because of the brain mind. In the essence, the existence of an individual is there because of his brain. The approach of the Indian rishis, the perfect scientist of ancient times, had been comprehensive in understanding and using the majestic potentials of human brain. They had focused their research on its subtle faculties, the mana, Mind, buddhi, intellect, chitta, the inherent memory and source of mental tendencies, and ahankara, the sense of being, the manifestation of the existence of the soul. They were able to study all the spiritual and mental aspects of the brain by realizing the existence of functions and eternal linkage of its subtle entities with the soul. Acquisition of the knowledge of its activities at the physical, physiological, neurological, and biochemical levels was an offshoot of their realization of its subtle activities. They were able to attain supernatural talents and make use of the body beyond the barriers of time and space. These accomplishments remain unparalleled in human history. By conducting dedicated experiment of the subtle science of spirituality, the rishis had unraveled the existence and principal role of the Sahasrara in the human brain, along with the role of Satta Chakra and the Brahmarandra as its associates. The different sadhanas of spiritual experiments and yoga were so divided by them that every human could realize and be bestowed by the immense power of his or her brain by practicing these sadhanas. It is unfortunate to note that the people of the later age could not pursue the disciplined and ascetic life essential for the sadhanas, and instead preferred materialistic gains and luxuries. Even the simple practices of japa, renunciation of mantras, and dhyana meditation could not find a place in the daily lives of majority of such people. This had led a severe discontinuity that gave rise to the near total disappearance in the present era of the most advanced branch of complete knowledge established by our glorious ancestors. The important role of the pituitary gland is now well known to the neuroscientist. Anatomically, this gland exists inside the brain. The important role of the pituitary gland is now well known to the neuroscientist. Anatomically, this gland exists inside the brain at the junction where the optical nerves meet to perform the optical chiasm. Secretion of a variety of hormones, be those required for controlling the body functions or those giving rise to the expression of the feelings of anger, fear, anxiety, depression, or cheerfulness, enthusiasm, etc., pertaining to one's mental and emotional state originates from this center. The perceptions of smell, taste, or any other experience of the sense organs is also regulated from here. Because of this predominant role, the pituitary is also called the master gland. This corresponds to the Agya Chakra described in the Indian scriptures on yoga. Scientists have found two valve-like structures called functional valve near the pituitary location, one facing the right and the other toward the left side of the brain. Though they have not been able to elucidate the subtle structure of this masterpiece, pituitary gland of the brain, the neuroscientists are optimistic that its detailed knowledge would enable deciphering the mysteries of the internal world of the human brain and rest of the body. Modern scientific investigations have analyzed about 17% of the structural expansion of the brain. More amazing functions and mysteries are hidden inside the remaining 83%. The optical functional area and the sensory areas are located in between the superior and inferior cerebral pedicles, plexus. All kinds of nuclei present in the brain receive stimulation from the above center. A subtle wonderland is present here which is beyond the grasp of physical instruments. However, one can experience it and unravel its mysteries by controlling the mental agility, restraining the extrovert tendencies of the mind, practicing mental concentration and meditation, and adopting the principles of spirituality in all aspects of life. One can enjoy a blissful life by maintaining the health, happiness, and peace of his mind. Measures based on psychological, physiological, and other scientific aspects could be useful in this regard provided they are focused at the subtle powers of the brain. The mind, being a subtle power of the brain, is an expression of the soul. It is the source of existence of the individual. Whatever be the potential of a person, its seed resides in his brain. The development of the personality of an individual depends upon the level of his conscious mind and the quality of other subtle subconscious and unconscious functions of his brain. We cannot know ourselves nor even our body without knowing our brain, mind up to the deepest depth. It is said that the soul resides in the hidden layers of consciousness in the brain. Knowledge of the journey of the soul, knowledge of the cosmos, and that of the omniscient supreme divine power is also described to exist in the inner core of the brain. The Indian philosophy is mainly centered on the in-depth knowledge and realization of the mana, buddhi, chitta, and ahankar, the subtle layers of the human brain. The rishis, the visionaries of this eternal knowledge, had discovered the principles and methods of acquiring absolute knowledge and attainment of ultimate bliss by realization of subtle streams of prana. Rishi states in the Dhyana Bindu Upanishad, sloka number 103 to 106 that Kapala Kuhare Madhye Chaturdvarsa Madhye Tadatma Rajate Tatra Yatha Vyomini Davakara Koda Dvaya Madhyatu Brahmarandresu Shakticha Savatma Purusham Pasyan Mansantralayam Gatam Ratnani Jyoti Sandam Tu Bindu Madheswar Padam Ye Evam Veda Purushaha Shakvesalam Samsati. Meaning, in the inner core of the forehead lies the center of the four doors of the sensors of eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. There one hears the eternal music resembling the sound of a divine peacock entering in the Brahmarandra from the cosmos. Like the sun in the sky, the soul is gloriously placed at the top of the inner brain. Below the Brahmarandra, deep in the Bhru Madhye, there exists the reflection of its power. One should realize the existence of the self in this inner core of the brain. The eternal glow and sound of the omniscient, omnipotent, supreme God exists there in subtle form. One who knows this can attain the divine state of ultimate peace and knowledge. I conclude this video here. Please like, comment and share the video. Subscribe the channel. Namaskar my dear friend.